swear, man. What's going on, guys? Welcome to DualShockers ShockCast, episode 175. Thank you, George, for messing up the intro. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, with George Jimenez.
Hi.
Ryan Meitzler.
Ah, damn it. I was trying to get the Godzilla roar sound effect ready, but it didn't happen, so sorry.
Well. And since this is episode 175, I wanted to have two special guests, and I got two special guests. Joining us is Mr. JakeJames Lugo from the Koalition.
What's up, peoples?
/ co-host of the spoiler alert, because you're on every episode now.
I love movies, yo. Love movies.
And of course, since I kiss their asses like every week, I had to have Mrs. Yamilia Avendaño. Oh, God, I almost fucked up your last name. Avendaño.
Cool, everyone does.
You heard Spanish for a second, and then you just dropped it.
Amelia Avendaño from Twinfinite.
Hi. Hello.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us. We're going to have a fun show for you guys, so we're going to start with the usual... That sounds like just trash, man. You couldn't even hear
I tried. It didn't really work, but
you made Godzilla now.
Oh, God. All right, before this thing goes off the rails even more, George, hit us with those new game releases, man.
All right, guys, for this week, the hot game releases. Photos with Mario. That's not a strong start.
I think that's pretty hot.
Shut up. For the 3DS, Drakengard 3 for the PlayStation 3.
Game of the year.
No. Wolfenstein: A New Order on PC, Xbox One, PS4, PS3, Xbox 360.
Also game of the year.
Transistor, PS4 and PC.
It's okay.
Don't forget about Mugen Souls.
Mugen Souls Z on the PS3. R-Type Dimensions, PlayStation Network.
Yes.
Sparkle 2, PS4 and PlayStation Vita. Dragon Beach, Legend of Pinball, PS1 import on the PlayStation Network. Shin Megami Tensei, Digital Devil Saga, PS2 Classics, PS3. I think James liked that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love my Shin Megami Tensei.
You Interrupted Neoplanet, PlayStation 1 import, PlayStation Network. Tokyo 23 Coups, Shifuku Wars, another PS1 import, PlayStation Network. Heroin Dream 2.
Jesus.
What?
Wow, you really go through all the crap, right?
Yeah. Sahara's Little Shop. This is getting weird. PlayStation Network. Always Sometimes Monsters. PC. Really cool game.
I love that game.
Swords and Soldiers HD. Wii U. All right, Wii U. Cool. Mega Man 5. 3DS. Fit Music for the Wii U. All right. Squid's Odyssey for the Wii U. Street Fighter Alpha 2 Wii U. And Tropical 5 on the PC.
Woo!
All right, let's ask our guest first. JJ, what do you pick?
Oh my God! What the heck do I pick?
Just
I mean,
one.
number one, we got games finally on Wii U. Besides that, I mean, I guess it's a couple of good games in there. I like Shin Megami Tensei. Great classic to play. If anybody hasn't played that series should definitely dive in. Really great series of games and whatnot. And also Transistor. I love Supergiant games. I love Bastion. Transistor I hear is an awesome game.
You say Transitor or Transistor?
Transistor.
Yes, that Transistor.
I said Transistor, right?
Transistor.
Right? I mean, have we been saying it wrong?
No, it's Transistor. It's like you got to think about Stanley. Transistors.
Transistor. Okay, well, yeah, Transistor I hear is a dope game. You guys should definitely check it out. Supergiant Games knows what they're doing.
Yes. All right, Yami, what's your pick of the week?
Oh man, so many to choose from. I'm a huge fan of that heroin game.
Yeah.
No, but I'm gonna have to go with a Tropical 5, and it's a tie between Tropical 5 and Always Sometimes Monsters.
Okay, I love that title. Yeah, I like that title.
It's
Ryan,
a great game.
Yeah, Ryan, what about you, man?
I'm obviously gonna go with Transistor. I reviewed the game, so naturally, there you go. So, yeah.
Plug.
And me. Also, Always Sometimes Monsters looks fun too. Followed closely by Wolfenstein.
Nice. George.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Wolfenstein because I'm hearing some weirdly good things about it.
Is it actually, is it Wolfenstein or is it Wolfenstein or like something crazy like that? Have we been pronouncing it like is it like Frankenstein? Like we've been pronouncing it wrong?
Yeah, it's like translator, right?
I think at that Bethesda party, that's what the guy was saying. That's what
Wolfenstein.
the German cover band was saying. Wolfenstein.
That's that German accent.
All right. As for myself, I really want to pick Street Fighter Alpha 2 because that's my favorite Street Fighter game of all time, straight up. But I'm going to go with Transistor. I started playing that. I'll talk about that more later on. Great game. And I want to give props to Wolfenstein, which leads me to the first thing I want to...
Wolfenstein?
Yeah, Wolfenstein. Yeah, go ahead.
I was laughing.
Okay. let me be quiet so you can laugh.
Everyone needs to hear me.
So yeah, Wolfenstein I want to bring up because earlier this week I did an interview with some of the guys that did the music for the game. What happened was when we were at PAX East, we went to the Aces party, and I met the dudes upstairs. Because VIP, we're fucking DualShockers, baby. That's how we got it. So we're up there and we're talking, and I talked to these guys for like maybe an hour and a half just about the music of the game. I was really, really drunk too. So that's probably why it took so long to talk about it. But once while we were there, we're like, hey guys, why don't we do something more formal? So I got together with them last week, and then we released the interview this week, and it was really cool. The game, like I think what you said is accurate. It's weirdly getting a lot of praise. I wasn't expecting that from Wolfenstein because didn't the last Wolfenstein game like do crappy or something?
Oh yeah, it did. It did kind of crappy. It was from Ravensoft or Ravencroft. Well, the problem with Wolfenstein has always been I don't think it's been previewing well because I think the sections we got to play were just very atypical first-person shooter, shoot the Nazi type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing that makes Wolfenstein really special is like, hey, there's some branching story stuff here. There's a perk system that wasn't in the demo I played, even though it was like a 3-hour demo. I was like, nope, wasn't any of that in there. So it was like I really got such a tiny, tiny slice of the game, and yeah, just I don't think it previewed well at all, which was I think its ultimate problem because a lot of people are just like, oh, it's another Wolfenstein, Nazis and robot Nazis. Okay, great, I guess.
Yeah, the expectations were kind of low. But do you think if the expectations were low, that's why it's kind of getting praised? Like, hey, this game's actually not that bad.
I think so.
You think so?
Yeah, I rented it and I returned it today. I had it for one day. I was not a fan. I think it's one of the most I don't want to offend anyone. That's why I don't like giving my opinion. But I think it's one of the most uninspired games of 2014. Actually,
Jeez.
It is like just super not that it's a bad game, just that it's super uninspired. There's nothing that stands out for it for me at least. Like I'm just like it's the same shit over again. Like, I didn't care for it.
I don't know. With me, what stood out to me was the music. That's why I interviewed the guys. I'm like, that's interesting because they had to really think about this. Like, what would music be like in 1960, ruled by the Nazis? How would pop music have been taken over by them? They went to a lot. So in that sense, it is kind of unique. I can't speak much for the game. I mean, I played a demo of it. It was just like a kind of typical game, like you said. But I really like the whole philosophy behind the music of it. Like that's a lot of world building you need to do. Like they even made up stories for the people that, the artists and stuff, that had to make up backstories. Like, why would they sing a song about that? Why would this? Why that? It was really cool. So I like that. But some people seem to like it. So who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's cool though.
Yeah, I'll be reviewing it sometime this week. They sent my copy to the wrong person, so.
Oh man. And then the other big thing we had this week was this is going to lead to our main topic. So I reviewed Drakengard 3, and people are mad at me.
Congrats.
Wait, you had an opinion on something on the internet, and someone got mad at you?
That's a bronze trophy unlocked, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I've written a lot of reviews in my time, but I've gotten some hate on the same level as this. But basically, what was going on is the thing they nitpicked the most was the fact that I don't like hack and slash games, and I've never played a Drakengard game, so it was like, hey, you shouldn't be reviewing this. But it's like,
yeah, Tony, why should you? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you game reviewer, stop reviewing games.
Yeah.
It's like my job description is video game reviewer. No, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to talk before I get to the main topic. I want to talk a little bit more about the game itself. Why I kind of had a problem with it. Yeah, it's just one of the main problems with hack and slash games. A lot of, not all of them, most of them, the combat never feels like solid enough. It's like I'm hitting a bunch of dudes and stuff, but it never feels like I'm really beating the shit out of them, like in something like Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry. Like it really feels visceral. Like that's kind of gone. It's just like.
What about God of War?
God of War. That's not a hack and slash game that has hack and slash combat in it, but that feels good too. You know.
I agree. Yeah, it's a lot less fluid with a lot of hack and slash games for some reason.
So Tony, you think it was more of an issue of the overall animation and just the look of the game, where it's like you hit someone with whatever giant RPG sword you hit them with, and it doesn't feel like you're actually doing that much damage. And so you think it's more of like a feedback issue, or it's just...
Yeah, it is a feedback. That's one of the issues. But the other thing is, like, just like Dynasty Warriors, you have 20 guys around you. You could kill all of them in about 5 seconds. So there's no real challenge there either.
Do you think also it's the repetitive nature? Because remember, like in a game like Dynasty Warriors, or even Sengoku Basara, you're hitting like the same like 2 buttons for like an hour on end.
Yeah, it totally is that, because this game has a lot of combos. I only used one combo the entire game. It was effective. It wasn't that I didn't know how to play a game. I'm like, this is the most effective combo. It works on everything. I'm going to use it. There's no need for me to change anything up. So yeah, it's totally repetitive. It's like, okay, there's another 20 guys. Oh, those guys are shooting arrows. Let me take care of them first. So it's the same process over and over and over and over again. And a lot of the games suffer from that. One of my favorite comments was like, they were saying that I'm a Japan hater. I'm a guy that 80% of the shit I watch is anime. You know?
I was gonna say, I went to a manga bookstore with Tony, so, you know, it's like...
That's like so far, like, a left turn. It's like, hey, you're racist. You don't like this game. Like, what?
Same argument when Resident Evil 4 came out, where it was just kind of like universally panned by critics.
Fox 6. Not
No, that was 6. Resident Evil 4 was praised.
I was gonna say, like, wait a minute. Four was amazing.
And there was this whole movement of, it's like, these are game reviewers just showing Japanese game developers that they need to do better, and they're making, you know, Resident Evil 6 as an example. It's like, no, they're just saying Resident Evil 6 is bad because it's bad.
The game just sucked mostly, yeah.
You know, there was another one too that was like that, Duke Nukem Forever when it came out.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I think people like to have that like grand conspiracy story, or just like, oh, Tony's not into this type of game, so why should he review it? And it's like, hey, you know what? Part of a good game is that anyone can pick it up. If anyone can pick up a game and enjoy it, regardless if they like the genre or the franchise, then that's a good game. Like, you know,
exactly.
The problem is when you get to these very niche titles, and it's a niche title.
It is. Like
Drakengard will have Drakengard fans, same way Dynasty Warriors will have Dynasty Warriors fans, and you know, and they're gonna buy that game regardless of the review. So I usually, you know, and I'm like, you're gonna buy this game anyway, so you're really just reading this review for some sort of validation for your purchase, or just kind of, you know, saying like, I see, it was good. See, I'm not crazy. And I was like, well, no. If you enjoy the game. Like, you're reading the review for the wrong reason. The review should be like, if you're on the fence, like, oh, I've heard about Drakengard. Would I like this game? Let me read a review. Oh, this guy's never played a Drakengard game. Neither have I. So now we have something in common. Like, if you are a Drakengard fan, you're gonna read the review from like a Drakengard fan site that says we finally got the game, and maybe you'll enjoy their review better. But like, you know, don't hold one review as to be your. There's no gun to your head. Like, at no point is Tony saying you should never ever buy this game. I don't care what you think. No, if you buy, I will fine you. I will take your shit.
Yeah, I ended it like that too. I'm like, if you like these games, you'll probably dig it. If you don't like these games, you probably won't. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's like I thought it was better of me to be honest that I've never played these games than to just not say it at all. I think it's better for me to just flat out be like, okay, guys, full disclosure, I've never played a Drakengard game. I don't like the genre. I think it was better for me to do that than just, you know, pretend that I'm like...
You know something? I think it's also good also because you look at it a much more objective view. You're not skewed by the stuff that's come beforehand like that. You don't have at least a sense of like favoritism or a sense of like biasness because you played for the previous games in the saga. You get a much more objective thing. If something sticks out that's bad, you're going to say it sticks out because it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. I've
played with because they like the franchise. It's like anyone's a fan of like the DBZ games. They'll be like, yeah, but you know what? They got all the DBZ stuff right. I'm like, yeah, that's great, and the game looks fine, but the camera controls like ass, and the fighting doesn't work.
Yeah.
But, oh my god, I hope I don't ever have to review one of those games, because I hate every single Dragon Ball Z game I've ever played, bar none, has been crap. Every last
There's only one good one. And that's Legacy of Goku 2. That was the only good DBZ game, the RPG.
Oh my god, really? Not even Budokai 1, guys?
Budokai was fail.
I like Ultimate Battle 22. That was my favorite.
I love Dragon Ball Z. I'm a huge fangirl. Wait.
Which one?
That.
Oh yeah.
Get it up on camera. Get on camera. There we go.
Oh, fuck it. I'm not gonna put it back up.
DBZ works better as like an RPG, like how Legacy of Goku 2 and Boo's Fury was. Those were like the best translations.
The beat 'em up ones. The first one I played was on Super Famicom. I'm like, what the fuck? And I love Dragon Ball.
Those are terrible. No, you don't play the ones before Budokai. It was like everything before Budokai was a friggin' Badlands, like Exodus up in this bitch. You don't play those.
Actually, no. Super Battle 22, the fighting game that played like Street Fighter, was actually good.
Yeah, that was a great game.
The one that copied Street Fighter.
That was the one where I actually burned the. You can take your regular Super NES, and if you take a hot knife and melt the little plastic ends inside the bit of Super Famicom thing.
Yeah.
That was the first attempts at modding, and it worked. It was the weirdest thing because
Isn't it the weirdest little mod?
What happened?
So random. It's such a random mod. Just break your SNES and it becomes a Super Famicom.
The cartridges had these bigger ends on the bottom, and and that was the only thing making it.
Mm-hmm.
So it was technically a region code. It was region locked, and these two little things were the actual code. They do it.
Yeah.
This is the region lock. These two little quarter-inch plastic prongs that you can just melt off. So yeah, I'm there as a kid just melting off stuff out of my Super NES so I can play Super Famicom.
Oh man, the things and you guys bring that up. I need to bring this up too because because I had a Sega Saturn, and you could only play import games if you had a special cartridge that let you play them. The thing is, when I used to play X-Men vs. Street Fighter needed a 4 megabyte cartridge. That was a lot back then, people, 4 megabytes. So you needed to have this cartridge in there to play the game. The problem is, you also needed to have a cartridge that let you play the import game. So I would have to do this. You started up with the import thing, right? And you have to be in this position. So when it starts, get that cartridge out, get the other one right in. Then it's
that spring trick with the Pro Action Replay on the PlayStation 1, where if you want to play imports, you get a Pro Action Replay, which is like a Game Genie or like a Game Shark.
Mm-hmm.
Boot the game, but keep it in this crazy like still mode, where then you could swap out the disc and put in your import disc inside there. But you had to keep the lid open, so they sold you the spring that would attach to the bottom of the lid that would keep the disc running. And when it got to this special point, it stopped spinning, and then you do the quick swap. And then you just go from there. So you're just playing your imports with the disc with the lid wide open like that.
I totally remember that.
Right there. That's cool.
I did that for a Dragon Ball Final Bout. I needed it.
See, that's why I love the Dreamcast, even though I'm pretty sure this helped killed it, is that it wasn't. You can literally just put anything inside it and it would run. So if you had
all the burn games, that's exactly what killed it.
Burn the games and just ruin that system.
Yeah, you just get it. And I think once I figured that out, I stopped buying new Dreamcast games.
I think we're all guilty of that. Nobody can be like, oh no, I bought every single game. No.
I was about to say,
I'm not gonna just be one of those people like, yeah, you guys killed the Dream. Like, no, I think I helped it as much as
I killed the Dreamcast. It was me.
Also.
I murdered the Dreamcast. I didn't even buy one until after it already died.
I never got a Dreamcast.
Oh, JJ, we got to kick you off this podcast.
Actually, no, I take that back. Because recently, a couple months ago, I bought a Dreamcast and then I got rid of it because I didn't use it.
Oh,
I love the Dreamcast.
No Shenmue for you.
I was a Genesis kid because I always grew up as a Sega fan because of Genesis, but I just never got into their later stuff. It just didn't happen.
yeah.
I became a Genesis kid, then I became an N64 kid.
Oh yeah, to end my little story, then they released a dual cartridge that had both the 4 megabyte thing and the import thing, so it was great. I'm like, I don't have to do the trick anymore. This is awesome. Oh man. So anyway, about the Drakengard thing, this leads into the main topic. Basically, there's a lot of things that people on the other side of the fence don't really understand about the realities of what it is to be a video game writer. I know I had a lot of preconceived misconceptions that were kind of shattered when I got to this side of it. If I was one of those guys, I wouldn't have been as vocal about it, but I would have been like, yo, dude, you got to play all the games, man. Like, or at least play some of them to have, done this. But now I'm like, there's a deadline. Somebody needs to review this shit. It needs to be done. That's one of them, but I'll get back to myself in a bit. Let's start with JJ. What are some preconceived misconceptions that you had before you were a video game writer and then after you became one?
Well, before I became, a video game writer, where I started covering games and actually immersing myself in the industry outside of just playing the games, I obviously, like you and everybody else, I thought that obviously people that wrote about games, they were almost godlike at playing games, because they were exposed to it so much. Like that, obviously you have to, kind of pick up some sort of skills in a lot of the different genres. Like they were multifaceted. And I also kind of had an idea that because they had exposure to all different aspects of the game industry and whatnot, that pretty much they were kind of like a jack of all trades. And not a lot of people had a lot of specific taste and preferences that kind of geared towards one thing or the other. As afterwards, when I started writing more and started covering things more, that kind of shattered. And I also kind of started looking at places like bigger websites, like IGNs and game trailers and stuff. I started looking at them in a different light because I saw like now, as opposed to being one wrong answer, one right answer to a specific question or an obstacle or whatnot, there was multiple. For me, there was multiple answers to the same question that weren't necessarily right or wrong. They were just a matter of perspective. Like, because one person doesn't like a particular game or doesn't like a certain genre or whatnot, doesn't necessarily mean that they damn it like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how it was with me because I used to think that was the thing I was going to bring up. Basically, I thought every game reviewer was essentially more or less a gaming god. They could play every game. They were masters of every game and stuff. And then I got to the other side. I'm like, okay, that doesn't seem to be a case. I won't name names, but a lot of these guys kind of suck. Let's just be honest. And then with myself, I have my kind of biases, and then other people have their biases too. Even guys that are on bigger sites, we're not as subjective as I believe. That everybody is still an individual. That's one thing. It's like it demystified everything for me. It's like they're not gods. They're just people. A review is not like a
and they're not always right.
Yeah, they're not always right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that was like the main thing for me. That was definitely Shatter. It's like everybody is a human being. They're not gods. There is no real gaming god unless you're like a Korean or something. It just isn't. Yami, what about you? What stuff got shattered for you when you started doing this?
No, yeah, I totally agree. It was the same case for me where I was growing up and I took these opinions as all powerful and all that, and then I realized I'm like, these people don't fucking have a clue. Like, they have about as much of a clue as I do. Not that I cared to begin with about reviews. Like, I read a review and I'm like, oh, I see it's your opinion. And I've always felt that way, I've always known it's an opinion. But now I could see that it's an opinion from a gamer. And the only difference between a gamer that reviews a game and a gamer that just plays it is that the gamer that reviews the game is getting paid for it. And in many cases, they're not getting paid.
Yeah, in our case, actually, no, we get paid, right? Right, George, you got paid off for Titanfall, right?
Oh yeah, there was a van full of suitcases of money.
Oh,
Yes.
congrats! Microsoft paid you guys off too. Oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah, we had Sony for Infamous.
I had to give them blood though. It was weird. It was a weird.
They paid him with the Titan. A Titan came, dropped
the
down.
Titan on him.
and-
Oh my God.
He got his own personal mech, people. It's go time.
George, no, you weren't supposed to give your own blood. You just give goat blood. Oh my god, no. Mistake.
Oh, George, they got you, man. Now they're gonna.
They pranked you so good. They pranked you.
Now you must behave.
I'm good. Ryan, what about you? What stuff got shattered when you got to this side of the wall?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's because it's been pretty recent. I only really started writing about games like about a year or two ago. So I'm still pretty new to actually being on this side of the fence. I've always been on the other side because for pretty much at least 10 or 15 years I followed like various gaming sites from like IGN and GameSpot and Game Informer and EGM, and my favorite was OneUp. They were the site that really kind of got me into the whole thing. Unfortunately, they're no more, but alas.
Rest in peace.
I think that the biggest thing is that the biggest misconception I think is that when you're writing about games, you have plenty of time to play games, but that is not the case at all because you spend way too much time writing about the games, and I think it's hard to actually get in time to play the games, like whether it's stuff you're reviewing or playing as a preview or anything like that. Much less like any stuff that I want to play on my own and have fun with. So I think that's the big thing. But
yeah, and that's something the fans kind of don't get a lot of times. Like, yeah, that happened to me. I was like, okay, I'm writing for video games, about video games every day, and I can't get to play them anymore. You're right about that. It's very ironic.
Yeah, I haven't played a video game in 3 years.
You haven't played video games for 3 years.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, between writing for the site and then also working full time, like it's tough to get it in, because at most per night I'll only have like maybe 1 or 2, at most 2 hours, like to play games, and then most of it I have to do on the weekends when I have actual free time. So.
Yeah, it's not as fun, and that's something that a lot of gamers don't realize, that we're actually analyzing the game while we're playing it, so it's not particularly just we're playing it for leisure or whatever.
Right, yeah, I think it's
games like, say, like a Mass Effect, where like I'm a big fan of the series, but I had to review Mass Effect 3. I had to play that a bit differently than I would play that normally, where it's like I would stretch that out for weeks, do as much as I can, but it's like, hey, look, you got the game early, your deadline's in like a week, you have to cram as much Mass Effect as possible to have an opinion that you can articulate fairly well
right.
by this day.
That could be the challenge, I think, is like when you're faced with a deadline and you have to play through the entire game and formulate an opinion on it in a very short amount of time. Most of the time, where at the earliest you'll get a game like a week or maybe 2 weeks before it's out, and you have to get the review out. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. That happened with me too. It's like with Infamous, a perfect example. Normal, because I played 2 previous games. What I would do is I would take my time with everything. It's like, let me clear out the districts, then I'll do a story mission. This time it was like story missions. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all you have time for. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know about you guys. Do you find it hard to break out of that mentality? Because I was playing Child of Light. I'm not reviewing it. The review was already done by the time I got the game, and I'm still analyzing things. Like I have to review, but I'm like, no, you're not. Just sit back and relax. You guys find it hard to get out of that mindset sometimes when you're just playing a normal game?
Definitely. I freaking played Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I made a video about it. Like, I can't just play a freaking game and not do something about it anymore. It's ruined my life.
Yeah, because I finished Far Cry 3 the other week, and I'm gonna probably do my next editorial about that. Even though it's a 2-year-old game, and but basically, it's as I was playing it the whole time, I was in that mindset of like, okay, even though we reviewed it 2 years ago, like I'm still in that mindset.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to break out of. Even I'm playing Transistor now. Ryan, I know you're reviewing it, but in my mind, I'm still thinking that I'm gonna review it.
Yeah.
I think once you start to notice things, it's like you never stop noticing them. Like when you know what to look for, you're always going to subconsciously look for them because you have to do it so fast because of meeting deadlines and stuff and other things you got to do. So it's always going to come like this.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like my big thing is like, especially when I do my certain criticism, I tend to focus on different things that other critics won't look at. Like I'm really into, if a game is supposed to be story or narrative driven, I really look into this narrative and be like, hey, there's some serious, we can get on like the Heavy Rain discussion. It was a good game, but I'm like, man, this story is insanely dumb. And to me, that ruins my experience more than just how well the game played. And it was like, I can't play this really fun game when there's plot holes the size of just boats coming through here. And it's like nothing. This doesn't make a lick of sense to me. And yeah, it's like, fuck Heavy Rain. I'm sorry. Any chance I can give, just say fuck Heavy Rain. I just bring it up.
No, but dude, yeah, no, but you're right about that. That was one of my problems with Drakengard. I'm like, I have absolutely no idea what's going on here. And it's like, I know it's like the 3rd game, but it's the prequel. Shouldn't it kind of lead me into it? So you're right about this. Like, plot holes and things like that, it affects the game. Even if the game could be a masterpiece.
But you know what? It's a good ability. It's a good skill to have, even if you're not reviewing a game, is to see why you enjoyed it. Because to me, I think what makes a game reviewer different than, and that's stuck to the point where it's like, being really good at a video game doesn't mean you're qualified to have an opinion. It doesn't mean that your opinion is golden about the game. Just because I'm really good at Call of Duty doesn't mean that my opinion on Call of Duty is completely golden. It's just,
I agree.
Making a good at game does not make you a good game critic. It just makes you really good at the game. What makes a game critic good is the ability to play something and articulate an opinion. I think a lot of gamers have opinions and they have feelings about games, but they can't articulate it well.
I agree. Wholeheartedly, I agree.
And that's what makes a game reviewer, and that's why some of us have favorite game reviewers, because like I like the way this guy thinks and I like the way he explains things. So even if we're disagreeing on a game, like Tony really loved Infamous, I played through it. I know exactly why Tony loved that game, and I know why I hated this game. But Tony made his point so clear where it's like I can see where we have the difference of opinion here, which is totally valid, and that's totally why his experience was more positive than mine, because he was like, hey, I love doing all this extra stuff in Infamous. It was great. I got my powers. And to me, I was like, oh, this extra stuff is driving me nuts, because I personally hate doing extra stuff in open world games that are overly repetitive. But
you know what it kind of reminds me of? A little bit of like a movie critic. That's why I respect guys like Roger Ebert or whatnot, because if you look at like stuff like movies, when you used to look at different films or whatnot, it's almost the exact same thing. Only with us, we obviously have a lot more time to look at specific things like that. And also keep in mind, having this type of skill to recognize certain things about a game, whether it's good or bad or whatnot, could also help you save a lot of money.
Yeah.
In the long run. It could really, at least just as a consumer, even if you aren't writing about games or whatnot, if you still know what to look for, or at least, know what to pay attention to, it can help influence your buying decisions and really have a positive impact on them down the line afterwards.
And that's why, and we mentioned now, like, we grew up with certain sites, because I think growing up, we only had maybe a handful of sites that we could follow that had
Stages.
Which is why, like, what you mentioned earlier, why it's like, we thought that one IGN review was like the review. Like, this guy must be a genius. He's the only
exactly.
It was kind of like our only option. Well, now we have 2 million people reviewing games, and it's like you can find kind of like your favorite. If you're into like these niche Japanese RPGs, websites that all they do is review niche Japanese RPGs. So it's like, hey, you know what? They're into this genre that I'm in. So if they hate it, my opinion might be more in line with this. So you have outlets that you can go for. And like I said, if you already have made a decision about a game, you're just reading a review for validation. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I love reading reviews, good or bad. I don't know where they go because I just like,
Like they want the okay. That's what they want.
Yeah, they just want like, okay, I didn't make a stupid decision. It's kind of like that schoolyard argument. You just don't want people making fun of you for being the only person who bought, like, I don't know, Beyond the Beyond on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Beyond the Beyond.
You love it, and you're like, that's a really shitty game. What?
Yeah, I think as far as reviews goes, I think George, you and I are kind of the same. Even if it's if it's a negative review, if the person articulates it well, I like the review itself. Because a lot of people, that's one thing I'll admit it. I kind of took this a little personal. Like the review was written bad. I'm like, structurally was it wrong? Because I don't give a fuck about what you think about my opinion. It's like, did I write this bad? Really? No. It's like there's a difference between how it's written and what's said in it. Because I've read reviews of games that the guy, I like the game, the guy shit all over. I'm like, that was a really good, well done review, So yeah, you're right about that.
Things maybe you don't bring up that often. Like, when everyone really liked BioShock Infinite, I read a review out there where it was like, hey, all this action is kind of unnecessary. You can, if they just ran this, you can run this game through with no violence, and it was like it felt like the action was tacked on. I think.
Something also, like usually when a game is actually really bad, how like some people get upset when they point out a lot of different faults for a game because they say like, oh, they were out there looking for faults or whatnot, looking for things to nitpick at.
Yeah.
When a game is really bad or really terrible, it doesn't really. You don't really have to try hard to spot the things that are wrong with it. They kind of just reveal themselves to you, and a lot of people don't see. They just are there, like it's so obvious. It's like looking up at the sky at that point.
Yeah, I don't know, and we go back to this whole like numerical score argument where it's like, well, you didn't like the controls. Is that like a point docked? And it's like, guys, and I know that readers of websites they like numbers and they like stars, and that's just good for your it's good for your Metacritic and it's just good for SEO. But really, I prefer to just eliminate numbers entirely and just
here.
Honestly, I'd rather them keep numbers, to be honest with you, because I think it's a good summary. For at least for the person that isn't really caring about the point of reading like the body of like what you got to say or whatnot. If you could still summarize your whole review within like a couple sentences or whatnot, and give it like a number score like that, I think you still done your job just as effectively as like writing a whole essay's worth about why.
I don't know, man. I feel it undermines what I'm doing. I feel it undermines what I'm doing.
So, I think I can understand that, and I totally agree with you in some cases. I think it's the way that it's handled is what really kind of determines that whether it's undermined or not. Like if, for example, like I said, if you could summarize your review in like a couple sentences like that, and then put a number score to it where you kind of feel like you generally have a feeling where you lie on a scale from like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or whatnot, I think you've still done your job just as well.
Yeah, well, the problem is there's no universal number scale. So it's
exactly.
You give the game a B+, but I give it an 83. Is that the which is a better review? Like who won here? Like
Metacritic's not the governing body of that. Metacritic shouldn't be the one to say like, okay, this equals what, or these two are like.
That's a whole other argument right there about Metacritic.
That's a whole other debate. Just like.
That's on the Metacritic podcast.
And here's the thing. That's next week. One quick thought about Metacritic. That usually is done, and the reason why Metacritic is such a problem is because the publishers and sometimes like the different companies for these games make it so much of a really significant influencing thing. That's why it's become such a big problem.
People's bonuses are based on your Metacritic score.
Yeah, that's
if the game scores an 88 average, you guys get an extra bonus. Oh, we scored an 87? Well, that's too fucking bad.
And in reality, Metacritic doesn't really do anything but gather all the scores together. That's all they do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and then I use the collective we. We turned it into a thing where it's...
Exactly.
It's okay, all of us watch Game of Thrones here, right? It's Varys' question, where does the power lie?
Exactly.
The power lies where you think it lies, and that we think the power lies from Metacritic, but it really shouldn't. Metacritic it's an aggregate site. That's all it is. It has no real power, but we've given it power. I don't like the whole Metacritic. I am totally against Metacritic. I really am. I say publicly, I am against Metacritic.
I think honestly, Metacritic could be a good thing, but the way that it's been handled, the way it's been touted off, and the way it's been treated by publishers, specifically publishers like that, is why it's been given that bad facade.
Yeah, because they do movies and music too. The record industry doesn't care about Metacritic. The movie.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing movies. Same thing movies. Same thing.
They don't care. It's frustrating. But let's get back on topic. George, what about you? What was one of the things that was shattered for you when you got to this side of it?
Shattered for me. I think when we talk about it, it's like, I thought playing a bunch of video games made me entitled to have an opinion about video games. But the thing is, I've been reviewing video games for almost, I think 4 or 5 years, so I have a kind of a new appreciation. I kind of have a more positive twist on things, where I kind of have a greater appreciation of how games are made, and just like interacting with people who develop video games. I can really appreciate a good game knowing how much work went into it. And I used to be a fan of the person who, like, when you play a shitty game, you rip into that shitty game. and then we talk about, what's the hardest review to write, and it's like, a really bad game, those reviews are easy to write.
They are.
The problem's just one after another and on a really good game, you can praise it, but you get kind of like those middling titles where you're just like, well, the game, I mean, it's playable, I just didn't like it. And then you kind of have that thought where it's like, maybe I'm just not a fan of the franchise, and that's when you forgot your number score is probably a 5 or a 6 or something. But I think I lean towards maybe Ryan's misconception, where it's just like, oh, these guys just play video games all day. But it's like, no, when you start writing about video games, you actually don't have that much time to play them. But I do appreciate the games I do make time for. So, like, I play a lot of, like, Skyrim. I always kind of go back to Skyrim, and I'm like, I kind of love this game, and this has always been my fallback game. Or, hey, maybe I'll go and play some Halo or something. It's like, you end up going back to, like, your tried and true games, and just because that's the only thing you have time for when there's like 50 million things coming out. It's funny how you go back to just the good old stuff sometimes.
Yep.
And for the record, just a little side note, because we were both poking fun at how I said transitor before. You just said Hilo.
Yeah, he did say Hilo.
I mean, I only have one beer. I'm not slurring.
I let him get away with that. But yeah, I heard that too. Hilo.
Halo.
That really cool game, Halo 5.
Halo 5. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Wow.
Segue.
We're gonna play some Halo.
Oh man. All right. So yeah, it's just you guys, I think just be a little bit more understanding of how things actually work. I mean,
well, here's a tip.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just gonna interrupt you.
Yeah, go ahead. Go in there, man.
So here's a tip. If you're a reader, just Joe website commenter, comment after you play the game. So if you really disagree with Tony's review of the game, don't disagree with him just to disagree. If you actually play Drakengard and you're like, hey, I fucking love this game, we have a comments thread. Go in and be like, hey, I love this game for this reason. Like, one thing I love about having this difference of opinion is that it fosters discussion.
Yes.
And that's why we are in community. So we're on Twitter. So it's like, hey, you disagree with Tony, he's right on Twitter. You can call him an asshole right to his face. It's great. But don't, I know people just have like that knee-jerk reaction to react, and it's like, you really don't have any basis to go on this. And we were talking about, as soon as like a piece of news comes out, and it's like, well, this is 1080 and this dropped down to it, this is a scandal. It's like, no, read the article first before, don't go by off a headline. Or, like when I did that feature about that when Facebook acquiring Oculus Rift for $2 billion, people, this is the end of the world. I'm like, really? One tech company buying another tech company is the end of the world? None of this is Cyberdyne or just Skynet. This is okay, guys. Like, I don't know. I think whenever you feel like that violent reaction to something that you read on the internet by a person you've never met, take a deep breath, count to 5, and if you still feel that way, then go right ahead and type it. But just take a second, guys. Come on.
This is why you're the spiritual voice of the ShockCast, my friend. That was beautiful. Thank you for that. All right, let's get into some news here. I almost didn't want to put this in the show notes because I hate NPDs, but I think this is just interesting for one thing because Sony pretty much came out on top in April. Do you guys think when Microsoft goes to 400, you think they're going to maybe balance things out? That's my personal hope, by the way. I hope they kind of reach where Sony is, so we'll have an actual, real good competition going on here. What do you guys think?
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, it'll move some units. I don't know if it'll move like, hey, we're caught up to Sony now. Like, no, I think whatever Microsoft announced at E3 is going to be very important.
Yeah.
And that's going to drive figures where it's like, man, that Halo game.
They're going to have something huge, because look at it this way. We already know now that the Kinect is gone. They have a bundle without it. We know where they're going at the $399 price point. We know Halo 5 Guardians is coming out. They either have something really huge or they have nothing at all.
Yeah, Ryan, you going to say something?
No, I was gonna say just about the price point thing. I think it's a step in both the good and bad directions. I think because it's a good direction because that was like the big thing that a lot of people were turned off by with the original bundle, the $500 bundle, was that that the Kinect didn't really have enough games out for it to warrant, being included and all that. So, I think it's a step in the right direction that way, that, it might attract people more to buying the system. But at the same time, I feel like being at the same level as Sony and being seen as the weaker console will also affect them, because, for all the 720p jokes that people make about the Xbox One, I think that's the image that the console has compared to the PS4. And so because they're at the same price point, people are going to think, oh, the PS4 is the better console because it's, because it's the same price point, but it can do 1080p, it can do all these other things.
Yeah.
So
you don't think they could fix their image?
I don't think the image matters, honestly. I think show me something cool. And if I look at something and if you show me Halo 5 and it looks amazing, and then I found out, hey, that's actually running in 720p, I'm like, well, that still looks pretty fucking good. I don't think that's going to matter to most people.
Okay. It's just something I think that might matter, but but again, I could be wrong. If they have a strong enough lineup of games coming out, like stuff like Sunset Overdrive that I really want to check out, or like the new upcoming Gears of War and like all that kind of stuff, then yeah, I think there's that too.
I think Sony's messaging for E3, they're going to keep pushing that 1080p, like. And that's what I kind of like about Sony. Sony has not been shy about taking shots at Microsoft, and fine. I mean,
That's good.
Sony has been taking shots for God knows how long. It's kind of like, hey, this is kind of funny that they can actually like fire back for once. But I think you're going to see just brand new messaging from Microsoft saying like, hey, we're all about games now. Like this is them, and in a way, I think this is like my mea culpa about Kinect in a way, where it's just like, we're really sorry about forcing this Kinect down your throat. We get it, and they're going to do what what happened with the PlayStation Move. They're just kind of not going to talk about it anymore. Just kind of hey, some Kinect stuff.
I feel bad for Rare. I feel bad for the developers that were making all those Kinect-based games.
Yeah.
I mean, they still could. I mean. They're still,
but if that's going to be their attitude, if that's going to be like their approach for Kinect now at that point, I mean, look at all those other games. Not a lot of people are going to care about those games as much.
The problem is the Kinect's going to fall into the same exact trap that it had last generation, and this was I feel like this is basically just Microsoft going behind the shed and shooting Kinect more or less, because their best chance I think was to have Fantasia like launch with the Kinect, but obviously that didn't happen. So. I mean, at this point, yes, developers could still develop for the Kinect, but I think it's way less likely because it's not included with the system anymore.
Yeah, and then also, here's the one thing I was thinking about. So they obviously didn't have any big Kinect games in the pipeline for them just to cut this off like that, Like
Fantasia, that's really about the only thing.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of because they were saying how Kinect was so essential and stuff. Guess it really wasn't.
Not no more.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
it wasn't.
yeah.
They
I think
just
it was
wanted extra money. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not essential for gaming.
Yeah, it really is. And by the way, speaking about comments, we had a lot of fucking comments for last week's ShockCast, man. Even though we were pretty even-handed about it, but it was mostly just the fans going at it in the comment section. It's like,
oh, those are the best, where it's not even about the article.
yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
You're an asshole. Well, you're an
It's a
asshole.
free-for-all in the comment section.
I like the color green, and you're a scumbag. And just exchanges, which was great. Because you're a kid. I'm not a kid. I'm 37 years old, and I have a job. I don't think you have a job. I have a job.
That's more or less how it goes down. I've seen some ridiculous comments.
Gotta love our community.
Yeah, I love them. It was just like, wow, because usually ShockCast we don't really get too many comments, and this one is like, there's 70 comments. Well, what's going on here? And these guys are just
Tony said, who did you insult?
Like, did George piss someone off here? No, it wasn't about anything we said. It was just them just going at it. Actually, no, one guy, Damien, shout out to you, Damien. He was giving me some shit. He was always busting my balls. I'm just keeping it honest, man. The Kinect was not essential. Just keeping it real.
I like yelling at it.
Yeah.
It's so weird because I end up never touching a controller with my Xbox One, and I usually watch TV. That's how I change channels, and to me that works fine. And then I got the PlayStation 4, and I didn't get it without a camera because fuck am I gonna two cameras? No, thank you.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and it was kind of a pain in the butt where it's like, oh, I need to turn this on, and I'm like, oh, I can't just shout.
George, what you need to do is you need to have the PS4 hooked up to your Xbox One and go Xbox. Turn on PlayStation. That's what you need to do.
That is actually.
I only do it because there's a delay, and that's when my cable has that feed through there. So I would have, I'd like to try it, but it's just like that seems like why would I do a pass-through of a pass-through? It's like that makes no sense to me. But
Ryan, go ahead, man.
No, I was gonna say that is actually one of the things I was gonna bring up before, but I just forgot. But like with Microsoft dropping Kinect, it is also dropping like one of the big distinctive features from the PS4 is the Kinect because it is losing like the one thing that makes it unique from the PS4 and now again they're just gonna, I feel like they're gonna be seen as similar systems now.
Two systems with two really shitty interfaces now.
Yeah.
Because they're going to come down to those exclusive games. That's what it's going to come down to at E3.
Which is what this fight should be about. And if there is a fight, I refuse to use the term console war.
But that's also what the fights are usually always about. It's just it comes down to the exclusives, where I felt like this generation especially had a chance to be a little bit more distinctive and be more about the hardware rather than just the exclusive games. But now that Microsoft's backed off on pretty much all their promises they had, it's going to come back down to the exclusives again.
Which is fine. I don't mind. If that's what your consumer base wants, and like Microsoft clearly had a vision for where this Xbox was going to go, and whether that vision was good or bad, clearly we were not ready for it.
It was the reaction. That's why they're backpedaling so much. They got such a bad lash back at them over everything that they were doing.
All this could have been completely salvageable if they were a little bit.
Because they did better. They competed a lot better.
Yeah, if you just made the messaging clear, because we were just told about a bunch of things we couldn't do. It's like, hey, you need to always be online. If you can't go online, fuck you. It's like, you can't. Always online would have been a good thing. And if
you can't
that way.
You can't use used games, like all that kind of stuff.
They needed clearly, like when all that was like first coming out, they needed to have people vetted on what to say and how to say it, because that was just a complete disaster.
Too many people who should have been media trained. It's like, who should know how to answer questions?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that was their own fault. So.
Yeah, I mean, tough shit is not a good answer to a question when someone says, "Oh, what if people can't play?" I don't know, sucks for them.
No, better yet, here's the thing: hashtag deal with it.
Yeah, hashtag deal with it. My favorite hashtag of last year, man.
That makes me so angry.
We're not the extreme generation anymore. We can just give people attitude. Like, no, that's not going to work anymore. You have to actually respect
your consequences.
Yeah.
Oh god, I studied mass communication in my university, so I just got fucking pissed over that guy. Like, how stupid do you have to be to act that way in front of your consumers? Like, you're selling a product and you're treating them like shit. What's wrong with you? Oh god, I couldn't.
I think Capcom could use a little of that. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody.
I feel like Capcom's a company that doesn't
mind.
Yeah.
I feel
like didn't the dude eventually go like, oh, would you live without electricity? Why would you not be connected online? It's like the homeboy. Really?
I think he compared it to a toaster.
Yeah, he did.
It was really stupid.
Yeah, because that's how you abuse viruses, to make fun of them.
Yeah, the messed up thing is that I kind of not that I agree, but I'm just also like, yeah, it's true. Like, what are the odds that a person doesn't have internet? But in the case that they don't be mean to them that they don't have freaking internet.
Where do you live in the fucking boondock? Where do you live in the desert?
They look at them, they're like, yes, I do. I do live in the desert.
I feel like Microsoft is kind of getting the whipping that like Sony got with the PS3, where the PS3.
Get another job, then you can buy a PS3.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting the exact same whipping, and now they're gonna cover their asses now this time, rather than what Sony did, which was just get a second job. You could do it, yeah, and they're going through the same thing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man,
yeah, except no blame. It's like, no, we're fine. You're the problem, not us.
Hey, props to Sony on the rebound, like actually taking the ball and running with that. Like the whole thing at E3 when they were just showing off how to share used games, that was genius. That was like a genius.
Yeah, that was the best. I was like, how do you share used games?
Everything about them, they had the ball set up and they didn't drop it, which was good.
Yeah, I feel like Sony really with the PS4 set out to kind of repair what happened last gen, and that they clearly learned a lot from their mistakes.
They're succeeding at it too.
Yeah.
But that's not fair. We have to give Microsoft some credit for reacting this quick, because usually companies that big, it takes them a year or two to actually to even acknowledge any problems. We keep thinking of like old Sony, like old guard Sony, when they had when they were hacked. They didn't let anyone know what happened for at least 2 weeks. And they were just like, yeah, by the way, we were probably compromised. Maybe you should change your passwords. Also, this happened 10 days ago, so...
And also, props to Microsoft for shaking things up over there, too.
Yeah. I think it's also, a lot of it is Phil Spencer as well.
Yeah.
And
I think so, yeah.
Kicking down the door.
Flipping over tables. Like, what the fuck's going on here? This is new.
I would not
be surprised.
I think when Phil Spencer walked in his first day, he's just like, all right, guys, let's just they just went to town on it.
Yeah,
It was like, it's go time.
He flipped over that board meeting table and was just like, "All right, fuck it, guys. We're just gonna."
He looked at like all the plans were on the table, like, okay, so this is what we have planned for this year. Fuck it.
Yeah, like all our Kinect games. It's like, oh, we've got one game coming out. Okay, we're losing this fucking Kinect. What is wrong with this?
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if it went down like that.
Exactly. But yeah, I know, but you're right. We really should give Microsoft a lot of credit. The system hasn't even been out a year, and they've made all these changes based on what we want. That's a good thing. It's like you could say 180. That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Okay, I can understand that to some extent. Like you're not sticking to your principles. But on the other hand, you're a company. You got to make money.
They're willing to change, which is the biggest thing, because a lot of companies are not willing to change.
I wish Nintendo would do this. It's like, dude, look at Microsoft. They're listening. Why aren't you?
Oh my God, you have no idea.
Yeah. Don't get me started on Nintendo.
And we're giving Microsoft crap for listening, which is hilarious when you think about it.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
You're giving me what I want. You're a jerk.
How dare you give me what I want? What's wrong with you? That's to get your principles, Microsoft. Oh man! All right. I want to do a quick thing about these fake E3 game reveals. Dude, who believes this shit? I did. I'm looking at it like, yeah, right. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. No, it's like,
who the hell could have possibly believed that? Like from the beginning, it had like Legend of Zelda as playable on the show floor. Like, come on, bitch, please.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hey guys, this year is serious. We got Shenmue 3. It's coming this year. We promise.
No. My favorite, Last Guardian.
Last Guardian. Last Guardian is the new.
We may get an acknowledgement that they're working on it.
Yeah,
right.
And that's it. Like, and maybe a trailer, but I don't think it's.
I don't think that game's coming.
Guess what? Christmas, Last Guardian, and then the crowd will go. I mean, if they do that and the crowd gets nuts, I mean,
if they do that, everybody's flipping a table at E3. I'm telling you right now, because
I'm at a point where I don't even want Last Guardian. I just kind of love that it lives in this like weird space and like.
It's like the Final Fantasy Versus 13 treatment now. It's like it hasn't been coming for like the longest. Like we just don't care.
Dude, it's the new Duke Nukem, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, it's hilarious. And then the other thing was about E3. Basically, people are complaining that a lot of games are getting delayed to 2015. As a video game reviewer, I'm very happy that the games are being delayed to 2015. I got time to play the other shit now.
Yeah, but then that's less reason to buy a next-gen console.
Exactly.
That is true. That's a good point, yeah. Because even right now, and George, you own both of them, even you would still tell people not to get these consoles.
Wait for fucking Christmas. I mean, wait till November, because that's when you'll get like cool bundles.
Wait till even after Christmas at that point, because then all those good games are going to be coming out around that time.
That's true too.
I'm not getting a next-gen console until like another year.
Me neither.
Yeah. You know what? And when you do, you're gonna have like a dozen or so really good games to play on them. So it's like, I'm gonna envy you. It's like, oh wow, you have a bunch of shit to play. Like,
here's the thing too.
I got my PC. I'm good.
Now's the worst time because that whole Last of Us bundle that they're going to bring for PS4 like that, or Last of Us that they're porting to PS4 at that point, that's not enough to really justify getting a next-gen console because that's a game I can play right now.
Exactly.
And it already looks really good.
Yeah. Last of Us is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, George, I remember you were struggling with like, should I get a 3DS or a PS4? It's like 3DS has games on it already, so yeah, I totally understand that. Even now, I bought the
deciding factor was just like, I actually don't commute. Like, I drive to most places, so it's like, that's the only time I'm ever gonna touch a handheld system. And also, I have an iPad, and the iPad has some really good games on it, and I already have it, so I don't have to like pay anything extra for it. It's just $6 for this game. Like, all right, great, fuck it. It was amazing.
Oh man! All right, let's talk about Halo 5. This was a big surprise, wasn't it? I'll be honest. I didn't do too much research on Halo because I don't really care. What can you guys tell me about this game? Or tell us about this game. What's so special about it, other than it being? This is just straight for Xbox One, right?
Why the subtitle? Honestly, like why the subtitle? I mean, traditionally, all numbered Halos, like the main ones in the series, Star and Master Chief, have all just had a number in it. Usually the spin-off games are the ones with the subtitle.
Well, the first Halo had a subtitle. The first one...
Oh, yeah, Combat Evolved.
Yeah, Combat Evolved, yeah.
But like Halo 2, Halo 3, and Halo 4 didn't. I mean, you had Halo 3 ODST, and that pretty much got rid of Halo 3. It's just ODST at this point.
Yeah, I mean, unless this one, maybe it's not going to feature Master Chief prominently. Because remember that
first that I saw didn't look like Master Chief.
It was Master Chief, and then there's another Spartan on top. So that could be...
Yeah, they said that's not Cortana. A lot of people were confusing that for Cortana, like, she's getting like a redone or like she's getting...
Or Sarah Palmer, but it's like, no, maybe this will be more of like a Spartan-focused game. Like, maybe people from Reach. Maybe it's June, who was one of the Spartans that escaped. But, I don't know, it's Halo. I mean, Halo always has this really cool kind of... I always liked Halo art, because I always thought Halo did a good job about making like a very pretty world to shoot funny-looking aliens in.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Always colorful.
It's colorful, and then and they always like huge skyboxes, and like getting into a vehicle in Halo was always really good, and like it was always a good build up when you got into your tank or your flying thing, and they do really good like minute to minute combat moments that I think is always really strong in Halo games. I don't know. I like the fact that they acknowledge and it's official. It's like, hey, we're because you know they're working on a Halo game.
Yeah.
That's all really people want sometimes. It's just give me the announcement. Let me for some reason that makes people happy when they know stuff's being made. It's something that we do, and something we always complain about Nintendo. It's like, we know you're working on a Zelda game. Just tell people you're making it. Tell people that Smash Brothers is coming out. We know you're making it. Just do that announcement at E3. You'd be surprised how many pre-orders you move just by acknowledging someone that you announced it. That's why
the consoles they sell.
yeah, like I give Square Enix a lot of credit. They just acknowledge stuff that they're working on. It's like, yeah, we're working on the Hitman game. We don't have a title for it yet, but yeah, we're working on it. We know that we're working on it. So let's just cut the bullshit and just do it that way. That way you don't rely on like someone leaking something on NeoGAF where it's like, oh, it's a bald head, it must be Hitman guy. I'm like, no, take your press releases in your own.
They're doing like what Ed Boon's doing now for Mortal Kombat. The number 10 is everywhere. We all know what Mortal Kombat's coming. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's like, really, come on, like. Unless you're really gonna blow me away with this trailer, then fine. But just say, yeah, we're obviously working on a Mortal Kombat, guys. Come on, or a new DC.
Yeah, or what Kojima was doing is like, dude, it's Metal Gear Solid 5. Like, come on, just stop.
That's the biggest troll in the gaming industry history. Like, seriously,
we knew it was
going on. Had a fire whale, and we were all questioning it. We all had no. There was like a moment there where we actually believed like what he was doing.
I didn't. I was like, this is Metal Gear. I didn't believe it for a second.
I think we're on to Kojima at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
but he's the biggest troll in the game. Period.
It was hilarious. I'm like, come on, dude. Seriously, it looks like the Fox engine. What else is it going to be, And the freaking name, Joaquin Mogren, is like an anagram of Kojima's, like, dude. And then they had, like, Konami people at the, what was the name of the studio? Moby Dick Studios. Like,
oh, yeah, Moby Dick Studios.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of Konami people at the party for Moby Dick. What could it
be? Props to them for being there and doing that with a straight face.
But yeah, but with that said, I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun too. I like when companies have fun with this and like, hey guys, you're on a joke, right? Let's just keep it going for a little bit longer.
but no, Halo. Just knowing that Halo 5 has a release window or it's being worked on. It shows a good sign for it's like, okay, good. I know if I get this Xbox One, I know there's going to be I know to expect the Halo game because there's a release date, and there'll probably be some footage at E3. Like I said, and you'd be surprised. People will buy a console knowing that, a lot of people bought PS3s.
Oh, dude, I've done the same thing. Yeah, with PS3, I'm like, I got God of War, I got Final Fantasy, I got Grand Theft Auto.
People bought PS3 knowing that a Metal Gear Solid 4 was coming for this system. And as soon as it was announced, it's like, hey, it may be a year or two off, but I have the system now, so I know if that's your franchise and all you need to do is just have that assurance that it is coming out on your system, then you'll buy that system and you'll invest and you'll be like, all right, well, everything I do right now is a build up to this Metal Gear Solid game. And I think that actually announcing those exclusive titles actually help. I mean, even if they are a year or two down the road, it helps because it just gives people some security where it's like, okay, good, so we're definitely coming out on this system. It's not a multi-platform thing. Like, yeah,
I think the multi-platform things also could help because look at Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3. When they showed that at the Sony press conference for PS4, people lost their damn minds at that point, and they were like, "Yo, I'm gonna get it on this console like that," even though they know it's coming out on the other platform.
Yeah, eventually.
But the fact that they actually just showed it and actually made a big deal about it and acknowledged it, like what you were saying, gets people excited.
Yeah, we were talking about like what was going to be the E3 trend, and it's going to be a lot of companies. A lot of third-party titles that seem like they're exclusive to certain consoles.
Yeah,
so like, we're going to definitely use
the content. Because the exclusive content, like Destiny.
Or Call of Duty on the Xbox One. Like Destiny's PS4. Watch Dogs has been PS4 focused. Every time you see a demo putting out there, that holds a lot of weight for people when you see someone play a live demo and it's a PS4 controller or an Xbox One controller. Even though it's going to come out on both, seeing it there just kind of gives someone who's really not into, not on NeoGAF or watching gaming news sites all day, they're going to see like, oh, I guess it's coming out for PS4. At least I know.
Yeah, I think that is the big thing, especially with things like Watch Dogs. I think has like an extra hour of like exclusive content and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like it's going to be those things. I think that both of the consoles are going to try and do by like sweetening the deal a little bit by like, hey, if you purchase the game on our console, you'll get this exclusive content that you won't get on the other console. So that is the big thing. I think is like treating all these big third-party games as if they were exclusives, even though they're going to be out on multiple platforms.
Yeah, I always find that interesting. It's like, it's like they show a game and it's not at the end, PlayStation. It's like, it's also coming out on Xbox.
Right.
Call of Duty, same things. Like Call of Duty, Xbox. It's like it's also coming out on PS3. It's interesting how like these third-party games they seem exclusive, but I think that's just you're right for people that don't pay attention too much. Like, oh yeah, that's it. I got to get an Xbox because I want that game, even though it's on you have a PS3 already. You could buy it on that too. But no, the commercial said Xbox. I need to get it on Xbox. It's very interesting how they do that. But yeah, I think you're right. That's going to be a trend now. You're going to see a lot of that. And with Watch Dogs, I do need to say Ubisoft has a history of that. Assassin's Creed always has like an hour of extra content for PlayStation systems. That's how they do it, I guess.
They'll take the money. It's like, hey, we'll pay for a bunch of commercial spots by the time launch, and we'll feature. Every time we demo this game, we'll use a PS4 controller. And a lot of times it comes down to that. Like, companies will be like, hey, we'll run all the advertising for you. So
look at Activision right now with Destiny. That's a big budget for Destiny market. Oh my God.
Yeah, and you're right. And if you didn't know better, you would think that's a PS4 exclusive.
What?
And who's paying that? Sony's flipping that bill.
Yeah, they are.
And Activision's like, hey, fucking great. All it is a fucking logo. It's not gonna any extra work for us.
All right, I want to talk about this because I don't know what this implies. Maybe you guys give me an answer here. So YouTube may buy Twitch TV, and Twitch TV, everybody knows, is the big gaming streaming thing. They came out in 2011. They blew the hell up. Twitch is actually going to be showing most of the E3 footage, if not all of it now. So YouTube is going to buy them. What do you think that means now? Like, are there any like implications here?
Great for YouTube. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, because you're getting that Twitch fan base. I mean, my dream scenario is that this is running off like YouTube server, like it's streaming off YouTube stuff with just a Twitch logo on it. Because I think the Twitch service isn't all that great. In theory, I love the server.
I agree.
But
it's good on PlayStation 4. I'll tell you that. It's going to capture a lot of people with that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if back end stuff, this is all YouTube taking care of all that stuff with just a Twitch, then that's fantastic. But you are getting the millions of people who use Twitch for streaming and don't really go on YouTube, because YouTube does stream stuff, but just that's kind of like not really that popular.
Like now, we're streaming this, people.
If they just rebrand it, it's the same exact thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I think you're just buying up users, which is fine. That's what.
I mean, if this goes anyway, it's going to be in Twitch's favor because, like, getting the infrastructure of Google and YouTube and having access to those servers and all that, well, that solves like a lot of their problems. Because like Twitch, I know like has had a lot of issues with running consistently. Because especially like when you had things like the PS4 launch, like Twitch was down for like Twitch has had downtime a lot. So I think just in terms of like like maintenance and upkeep, it's going to help them a lot. Yeah.
My biggest question is going to be how is Twitch going to handle like copyright issues? Like people will stream games,
That's a good
people
question.
stream emulators and ROMs. Like Twitch plays Tetris. Like clearly they do not have the rights for the Game Boy version of Tetris to run that stream. So I want to know how what's YouTube's going to be policing, what their policing policy is going to be for streaming stuff that you don't quite own, because I'm pretty sure you don't own Parasite Eve on PlayStation 1 because there's no way to stream it directly on the PS1. So you're playing it from a computer, you crook. Like, I want to know, because YouTube already has that issue with a lot of Let's Players and people who are just content creators on YouTube that get a lot of these weird copyright strikes. So it's like, or maybe I just don't like what Tony's saying about my game while he's streaming it. I'm going to call YouTube and I'm going to send a complaint and say,
oh no,
he doesn't have the right for this, and here's one copyright. And if you get
YouTube
3 on your
needs to
channel,
fix
it's
that.
gone. 3 strikes on your channel is eliminated, regardless how many millions of users you have.
That's an issue that YouTube needs to fix, like with everything, not just the streaming, because it's still a problem to content creators on YouTube.
Big time.
Yeah, have you run into any problems? Because I know you do a lot of videos.
No, because I stay away from doing the gameplay stuff.
Oh, okay. Actively avoid that.
I'm like, no, screw it. Just my face, that's it. They
It's one
can't
less headache for you to
copyright
do.
claim this.
Yeah, but as usual, when this news was announced, everybody, oh my God, this is horrible. How dare
Of
they?
course.
Like, really, guys? You're going to get emotional over
Guys,
that?
you should be more concerned. Don't be concerned about YouTube buying Twitch. Be concerned about AT&T buying DirecTV.
Yeah, that's weird.
Mm.
That's the weird one.
That's some scary shit.
That's weird.
All right? Big cable company with a big phone company, that equals monopoly, and those are bad.
And isn't it the second one? Well, not to get too into it, but that's like the second case of this with Times Warner getting bought out and shit.
Yeah.
These are stuff the FCC really needs to look into, because then at some point it's like, if you're a monopoly, you can kind of charge whatever the fuck you want. Like that's scary. You're
But no, people are concerned when Disney buys Marvel.
Cause I don't want a Mickey Mouse in my X-Men. Mickey Mouse is baby people.
I can understand the Twitch people. Like Twitch people got angry about this, and I know that at least one guy. I saw on Twitter at least one guy saying, "Well, there goes my odds of expanding where I get my money from, because he's on YouTube, but he's also on Twitch because he gets 2 separate incomes from like both of them." And I'm there thinking, do you make that much money off of Twitch as it is? Like, I think in the end it'll help content creators on Twitch a shitload to be getting paid by YouTube.
Yeah, and also it's a second platform. Even though we all work for the same company, YouTube will still be YouTube and Twitch will still be Twitch.
Exactly.
They didn't announce that. It's just like, oh no, we're just absorbing Twitch and we're just gonna call our video stuff to it. No, it's just streaming's gonna be
It's a
Twitch.
typical knee-jerk reaction that gamers have.
Yeah, that people seem to have a lot on the internet. It's like, step back a little. Let's think about this first, then you can say something.
It's okay, guys.
Yeah, also, I think it'll be a good thing.
And also, to make money on YouTube, you need to have millions. Because I forget what the number is. I think last I checked, when I was doing like my own thing, seeing like the monetization, I think it was something for like every 15,000 viewers or every 50,000 viewers,
What?
it's like $100 or something. I
Yeah,
forget.
you have to be William Johnson, apparently.
That's
Wow.
if you like consider that like if you consider $2 something good, then you're because that's the good thing about YouTube. You make a video and it gets views, you will be paid for those views. If you make if you do a stream on Twitch and you get views, you're not gonna likely get paid unless you're a partner. That's the only way that you're gonna get paid, unless you have that subscribe button.
You have to be Ray William Johnson, basically.
Yeah, so.
But no one here has 1 million subscribers on YouTube?
Nope. Nope. Not even close, man.
1,000.
No, not in those videos where you put your dog in an apron and he's trying to cook. And
Or the rabbit eating cherries. Did anybody see that?
the tiny hamster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I only have like.
Subscribe the shit out of watching a tiny hamster eating tiny pizza. And
Yeah.
food, like, oh man.
Oh man, it's great. And then the last news thing here, I had to throw this in because this made me go nuts. Did you guys see that Batman trailer today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that was a good counter to the shitty news we got. Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Tony
That title is not final. I'm just throwing it out there. I feel like we're in on the writing process of this movie because I don't think the script is even written yet. I think they're just throwing. For some reason, I feel like this feels like a really weird reality movie where we're just in the writing room and it's just like, hey, you know, it'd be a good title: Batman v Superman: The Dawn of Justice. I'm like, yeah, sure. And it feels like streaming this live, and I'm like, this is a clear.
It's like you gotta pay for DLC in order to get the real title.
I wish,
I-
George.
no,
Zack
I wish you were right. Yeah, go ahead.
Zack
Ryan.
Snyder's gonna change his mind like 5 days before the movie comes out. He's like, no, that was a stupid title. Just like, you know.
World's Finest. That's what the movie should be called, World's Finest, because this is what it is. Really.
No, we should call it The Dark Knight Returns, because you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. It's true. You got the outfit.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't
understand
know.
the V part. Why is it V? Like you can't afford the S in VS.
When I first saw it, I was like, Batman 5 Superman? Like,
Wow.
It looks like the deposition of a court case. It's like on the paperwork.
a little bit.
Yeah, Roe v. Wade.
Right. Alien versus Predator's doing it wrong.
It's actually going to be a legal battle between Batman and Superman.
Who's the plaintiff is what I'm trying to find out.
It's a lot of. I feel like this is just a lot of placeholder information. Like that title is clearly going to change.
I hope so. I really hope you're right, dude.
There is a god.
What if it's just called Dawn of Justice?
There is no God, Jorge. That's the thing you need to understand.
Yeah, the reason why I say that though is because like you know how DC is with a lot of their ambiguous titles. Like they don't necessarily say Batman. You know, except for like Batman Begins, but then they start going into like The Dark Knight Rises, Man of Steel, you know, things like that. It's like it's kind of like their thing now, as opposed to like Marvel, who actually has their superhero names in their movies. Like it's kind of weird for them. Like you don't understand what I mean?
Yeah, I think more of it's. I think you keep the Superman title. I think you keep the Superman title just so people know it's a Superman Batman movie. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just drop that and just say The Dawn of Justice. Even though it's just such a cheesy comic book name. It's like if you want to advertise
World's Finest, because that's what they are. That's how it always is. Even in the comics and even in the TV shows, they're called the World's Finest.
But anyway,
I don't know exactly what that means.
We're just tracking too much. The Batman trailer, the Batman. Give me that game right now, please. It looks so awesome.
That
Oh, yeah,
car,
what?
son.
I want that Batmobile. That Batmobile's gonna be awesome. You know what they need? They need DLC for the Batmobiles. Give me the '89. I'm good.
I just like the fact that he has like a bat suit that has like all these little moving parts in it. It's so
It looks
awesome.
like the Iron Man. It kind of looks like an Iron Man.
Yeah, it totally did. I was like, is that Batman, Iron Man? What's going on here? But I thought it was great. I'm like, yes.
I liked Arkham Knight just kicking the shit out of him, like, oh, you got a cool suit too, and then just punching each other in the face, and then Batman shooting himself out of the car, then flying around, then landing back in the car. I'm like, how unnecessary, but amazing. Let me just drive there, Batman. But
Oh man. Oh yeah. So yeah, that's October 7th. It's like, ooh, give me that now. Oh, my
Thank God Rocksteady's doing it. It gets me excited about it because when I saw the Arkham Origins trailer, I just did not give a damn. Like this one, I care a lot.
it was the Batman game we didn't need nor want.
Yeah, I wasn't into Origins.
Kind
Like it was stale.
Origins.
I never even played it. It's like, what is it? The Batman game we didn't want and we didn't deserve, or something
It's a
like
Batman
that.
game that didn't exist.
I played it and
Batman.
I played it for 5 minutes and I was like, oh my god, I can't do this.
You think
again.
that's bad?
And you
just
like
got
it,
Blackgate.
right?
Blackgate's worse.
Which one?
Blackgate, Arkham Origins Blackgate.
Oh wow.
Oh,
It's worse. A lot worse.
that's
And
the
Yami,
Vito one?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yami, you like the other Batman games too, right?
I love Batman, yeah. The freaking Arkham series is like one of the best superhero series of all time. And then I played Origins and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be Batman again.
At the table.
It seemed like a very list Batman game, where it was like, we have an open world city. Yes. Is it Arkham? Fine. Is it Christmas or snowing? Yeah, sure. Why not?
There you go.
You know-
Uninspired Batman.
You know what the worst part about that is because it's called Arkham Origins, there isn't really any mention of Arkham, or was it Arkham Asylum, or anything like leading into the other games at all. It's like the end credits. That's it. It makes no sense.
So it felt like a cash-in, which was a shame.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it was.
Exactly what it is.
Or honestly, it felt like Warner had another studio ready to work on a video game, and they had nothing to give them. And it's like, well, it's going to be another 2 years for Rocksteady, and Batman's still doing good. Maybe they told you guys, hey, come up with a Batman game. It's going to be a smaller budget because all the original voice actors are going to be in this other cool Batman game, and we pay Kevin Conroy $2 million for a session, so we're not paying him another $2 million. So here you go. Good luck.
All right, so that's the news. So let's wrap it up with what we've been playing this week. Let's start with our guest. Yami, what games have you been playing this week?
I have been playing the crap out of Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed.
Oh, that's interesting.
I bought it on sale on Steam, so I've been playing the shit out of that. And on top of that, Always Sometimes Monsters, which is really great.
Tell us about that game. I've never heard of it. I heard the title. I'm like, that sounds cool.
It's a little indie game. It's a little gem. It's so cool in that it has a very gripping story, and you have branching storylines. So if you're really into player choice and gritty shit, I suggest that game. And also it has like cute little graphics.
Yeah, it's like
it's
a cute little like Super NES JRPG, but it's like
But it's not cute.
super dark and
It's
kind
pretty
of horrifying.
terrible. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's really, really good.
All right, JJ, what about you? What you been playing this week, man?
Man, I've been messing a lot with my PlayStation Vita. It's like my new girlfriend now, pretty much. I mean, here's the thing, because I was a really big 3DS gamer. I'm a big portable gamer. And, you know, I at the first I was really kind of adamant about my PlayStation Vita. But as I started getting games that actually I really kind of made a connection with, it started becoming a lot of fun. I've been playing a lot of Dragon's Crown. Dragon's Crown is awesome,
Nice.
one of the best.
You and I need to play together then. That's
God,
fucking awesome.
You need to play that with me because it is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome for 4 people, it's amazing. It's an awesome action RPG. And I also been messing around with Super Stardust Delta, which is a little bit older, but it's still a great game to own on PlayStation Vita. It's really cheap now on PSN. But besides that, finally I went back on my PlayStation 3 and started playing a lot of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix.
Nice.
Started busting people up online. So I'm kind of messing with that. So I've been doing all right.
Cool. Ryan, what about you, man?
I've been trying to finish up Child of Light because I'm getting very close to the end now.
I finally beat it.
Good job. Yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of cute little RPGs, I'm getting toward the end of Child of Light, and then I also played through Transistor, finishing up my review, which should hopefully be up by the end of the week.
Nice.
And yeah, Transistor is very, very good. It's a good time, I think, for like indie games because you have games like Always Sometimes Monsters and Transistor and like all these great indie games coming out. So.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a golden age. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Yep.
George,
That's
what about
it.
you?
Since I'm a brand new PS4 owner, went back and I was like, I gave Infamous a shot. We were talking about it earlier. A good game. I didn't super fall in love with it. I think it falls into that open world trap where it's just like there's a lot of stuff to do, but I just kind of want to do the story mission and dick around with the powers. I think the recreation of Seattle is like really on point, where and then I kind of realized Seattle's like a super boring city. So
So it's not that good of a recreation, then, is
I was
it?
like, oh, this is a really cool, authentic, amazing-looking city. And I'm like, there's nothing to do outside that fucking Space Needle. It's like, I kind of don't care. But the game itself, I thought it was a great, superhero game. To me, that worked really well. I love I won't reveal the last two powers, but that third power is amazing.
Yeah.
I
Wait,
love
the third power. I'm pretty sure I talked about that in my review. You could probably say it.
The
power?
video.
The video power. Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, you draw powers from TV screens, and then you throw like digital swords at people. And I was like, that is kind of neat, and it's super original.
Dude, when I got that power, this is what I thought to myself. I'm like, when in comic, because I've been reading comic books for over 20 years, I'm like, I've never read of a power like this. This is really cool. I like it. It's very unique. A video power.
His power is the internet. Like, he just threw streaming. You see the little buffering things on your power, and I was like, this is kind of hilarious. You're throwing YouTube videos at people.
You're throwing YouTube videos at people.
I haven't got to play Infamous yet, but like, from all I saw, like I remember when I first saw it and they said like, oh, you're gonna have like smoke powers. I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then I heard about like the neon powers and I was like, oh, this sounds like interesting.
And I think what broke the game for me is I maxed out all the neon powers super early, so I got that super speed. So I really didn't care about any of the other powers because I can run really fast for unlimited amounts of time. And I was like, well, why do I need to fly around? Fuck flying. Flying is dumb. I can just do super jumps all over the place. I was like, all right. But I mean, I thought it good. Nice, good ending. I think it was good. Good addition to the Infamous kind of franchise. Can't wait to see what they do. I want to see Sucker Punch move on to something else.
Agreed.
And which kind of leads to the other game I played. I played Killzone Shadowfall for the first time. Well, that's a lie. I played an hour of it when the PS4s came out on a neighbor's PS4, and I literally just put the controller down. I'm like, I'm never going to play this game ever again. And I walked out, and then I was like, I shouldn't do that because I always get into arguments about Killzone with other games journalists, and I'm like, you know what, let me play through this game, and then reaffirm my argument this game's terrible.
I hear Mercenary is better than that one, honestly, on Vita.
Oh, it is. It kind of it has that Crisis problem where it's a gorgeous-looking game, but it's so fucking boring, and the combat is terrible because it's just dudes with helmets just looking at you and occasionally shooting you, and I was just not feeling it. And I got through 3 hours of the game, and then I gave up. So I went a little bit further, but then I was just like,
man, Killzone. I bought the game because I'm like, okay, everyone's always talked about Killzone. I've never really played these games. This is the marquee shooter of the PlayStation. It looks fucking gorgeous. Yeah, I'm like, this looks gorgeous. Let me buy it from PS4. That was one of the first games I played. Every single thing you just said, George, every single thing, I totally agree with. The game is boring. It is boring.
And I love sci-fi bullshit. And I was just like, I don't care about this.
The only thing I can take away from it is that, and now that I've played it, other gaming journalists won't give me shit because I could validate my point. Like, this is why I think the game sucks. That was my first Killzone, and that will be my last Killzone. I'm never playing that franchise again. That was terrible.
I really like Killzone. Like, I actually kind of like Killzone too, even though it was kind of dumb. Like,
me too. I like Mercenary. Killzone Mercenary on Vita is actually really, really good.
I played some of that. I stole a Vita for a while for a trip, and I fell in love with that game. But yeah, I kind of want to see Guerrilla Games move on to something else. Like, they've nailed making a game look pretty, which I'm total confidence in. So now maybe first-person shooters aren't.
Apparently they're doing an RPG.
Hey, you know what? Great. I'd love to see them try to take a crack at an RPG. Like, I don't like when just people are just stuck with a franchise. That's why when Naughty Dog did Last of Us, I'm like, ooh, it's not Uncharted. Great. And then Uncharted 4 gets announced. I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, man. All right, as for myself, I finished up Child of Light. I didn't realize I was at the end because I left it off at one point, and then I kept going. I'm like, oh, it's the final boss. I thought Alyssa James, our reviews editor, she reviewed the game. She gave it a perfect 10 out of 10. I'm not going to disagree with her. The game is fantastic. I still think everybody needs to play it. I'm so happy that a game like that exists in the gaming industry.
Coming out on Vita.
Coming out on Vita, that's right.
I actually, like, when I heard that announcement, I kind of kicked myself because I was like, oh, like, this game would be great on Vita, and, like, yeah. But, it is really good, and, oh, crap, I just forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, go on, Tony, go ahead.
It's a pretty game.
Yeah, and then, obviously, I finished up playing, Drakengard. I don't want to play that game ever again. That's not going to happen.
And, good once it's over, though. It's kind of like, I feel like I just served in a war or something where it's just, I can finally come back.
That's how I felt playing Lords of Shadow 2. Oh, my God.
That game cheated me because what happened is, like, I beat the game. I see the credits, and this was Wednesday. I'm like, fantastic. I beat this like with a lot of days before the embargo. Then it goes, oh yeah, by the way, here's another side story you can play. I'm like, I don't want to play you anymore. Stop. So I had to.
Sometimes I feel like that's good for a review where you just say, hey, listen, at some point I said fuck this game, and. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure there's a Tumblr out there of just people putting their review of game reviews, putting like some of their review notes for games, and I think the Tumblr is called like fuckthisgame.tumblr or something. Just put their awful notes about like shitty video games they play, and it and just like stuff you actually wrote in your notes was like worst piece of shit ever, kill myself or that kind of stuff. Like
I wish I could post my notes as actual reviews because they're far more entertaining than the like structured ones. I just go crazy with my notes. So
we should have a feature because I used to do the George notes at the end of my reviews, and I've gotten better not putting them up because I'm like, these seem kind of dickish. But I think if we uniformly agree to put like some funny little notes that we've taken when we do a game, then I think that'll work.
I think mine will be too vulgar though, man. I get really bad with them.
Fuck
like,
this game.
Exactly. Like, here's my review for this. Fuck this. Conversely, I want to do the opposite. This is great. So yeah, that's all I've been playing out. I don't know what to play now. Oh yeah, Transistor. I've been playing Transistor. I almost forgot. I only played about 30 minutes of it, but I really I don't know what the hell's happening in the game. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with the story. The combat is a little weird, but I am mesmerized just by the visuals. And if you have this on PS4, make sure you turn it on so the voice comes through your controller. It's really cool that way. It's a lot more fun like that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I played the PC version, but like it's like, man, I wish I had a PS4 for this because that would just make the game so much cooler. Like, because I got to play it at PAX of the PS4 version. I saw the controller lighting up, I was like, oh man, that's cool.
I don't really know what kind of game it is, but that's a good thing too. I can't classify it.
RPG is probably the best way to say it. Like,
yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to Bastion. I think it is a little bit slower paced and a little more strategic rather than Bastion, which is kind of more twitchy and more action oriented. But I think like
got atmosphere though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great music. That's like the soundtrack's on Spotify. So if you have Spotify,
it's available. It's on YouTube. It's on Bandcamp. It's pretty much everywhere now. It's really, really good.
Yeah, Darren Court is an amazing musician.
Just the overall presentation.
Lost Tony.
Sound like
I'm actually. I don't know. I'm in a weird spot, guy, because I'm both glad and not glad that I'm not doing the review for this. Because on the one hand, it's like I want to talk about it, but on the other hand, I just want to enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Case.
See, I got to enjoy it for you, Tony.
Thank you. All right, guys. So that's the show. I want to thank JJ from the Koalition for joining us. Where can we follow you? Tell us about it.
You can follow me on Twitter at VenomousFatman1. You can find me on YouTube, and you can find me at thecoalition.com.
Awesome. Yami, what about you? Where can we follow you and stuff?
Follow me on Twitter at IDSANTY or on Twinfinite. That's where I am.
The other awesomest website ever. I'm always kissing you guys' ass, man, on this show.
Oh, that's sweet.
Right, and this week I was joined by Brian Meisler.
You can follow me on MySpace, LiveJournal, GeoCities, AngelFire, any other popular websites that are available now.
George Jimenez.
You can find me on my Amazon wish list, where I have a bunch of Amazon gift cards and socks. I like socks.
Oh, socks are nice. All right, and I was your host, Tony Polanco. You could find me hiding somewhere from angry people that don't like my reviews.
I don't like the game I like.
Wow.
All right, guys, I'm always here on DualShockers doing stuff and things and stuff and other things and stuff. All right, I'm just being stupid now. All right, guys, thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies.